I'm Kayla, and I'll be starting our presentation today. Our project is titled Improving Patient Engagement and Mood Through Structured Group Therapy in Inpatient Psychiatric Adolescents. When we first started exploring this topic, one thing really stood out to us is adolescent psychiatric inpatients often struggle with more than just their diagnosis. A lot of them experience low engagement and mood instability and feeling of isolation or disconnection during their stay. This isn't just sad, it's actually dangerous because when patients aren't engaged or emotionally regulated, they're far less likely to stick out to their treatment plans and make meaningful progress. Traditionally, the go-to approach has been individual therapy, which has its benefits, but as nurses, we see that it doesn't always meet the complex emotional needs of teenagers in crisis. These patients need connection, validation, and a safe space to be themselves, and sometimes one-on-one sessions just aren't enough to provide that. So our group started to wonder, what if there was a better way to help these kids feel seen, heard, and supported? What if more collaborative, interactive form of therapy like structured group sessions or peer support programs could help bridge that gap? To explore this, we turned to the Iowa model of evidence-based practice. This model guided our thinking by encouraging us to question current practices, gather evidence, and consider whether a change in approach could lead to better outcomes. That brings us to our PCOT question, which we use to guide the evidence search and evaluation. In hospitalized psychiatric patients, how does participation in structured therapeutic group activities and peer support programs compared to standard individualized therapy alone affect patient engagement, mood, and adherence to treatment plans during their inpatient stay? This question really allowed us to focus on the inpatient experience and specifically in adolescents, and consider how group-based therapy could potentially fill in the gaps left by traditional models. As future nurses, it's important for us to not only look at what works on paper, but also what feels therapeutic and empowering for the patients. This project gave us a chance to dig into that and to think about the ways we can advocate for more holistic, human-centered care in psychiatric settings.
Thanks, Kayla. My name is India, and I'm going to take us through our methods and how we found and selected the evidence that we used. Once we created our clinical question, we knew we needed to find strong, relevant, and current research to back up our thinking. We didn't just want opinions, we wanted real data from actual adolescent inpatient settings. So we conducted a systemic literature search using 4 major databases: CINAHL, Ultimate, Medline, Cochrane, and PubMed. These are all trusted sources for our peer-reviewed healthcare search. Our search terms were really intentional. We used combinations such as psychiatric patients, inpatient mental health, group therapy, peer support programs, patient engagement, mood improvement, and treatment adherence. We also created clear inclusion and exclusion criteria to filter what was truly useful. We only included studies that were peer-reviewed, written in English, published within the last 10 years, focused specifically on adolescents ages 7 to 17, and we had full text available so we could fully evaluate them. We excluded outpatient studies, studies that focused on adults only, research that didn't compare group therapy to another method, or studies that didn't measure mood, engagement, or adherence. After sorting through what we felt like a mountain of studies, we narrowed it down to 4 that really aligned with our PCOT question. These were done by Lenvantia, Patterson, Phillip, and Versiano. Each study looked at adolescents in inpatient settings and compared standard care like individual therapy or unstructured time to form some of structured group activity. These activities included music therapy, art, exercise, and other group-based modalities. So while the designs and sample sizes varied, all of them helped paint a clearer picture of what actually works in real-life psych units. And now Liz is going to break down what those studies found and what we can learn from them.
All right, thanks, India. I'm Liz, and I'll cover the main findings from the research we reviewed and also talk about the strengths and limitations of the evidence. All 4 studies showed promising results when it came to group-based therapy. So let me give you a quick snapshot of what we found. Leontieва looked at adult inpatients during nursing shift changes, basically a time that's usually chaotic. She found that using group therapy during this high-stress time actually helped reduce agitation and create a calmer environment for both patients and staff. Patterson et al. Focused on music therapy in an adolescent unit. Participants said that they felt more emotionally expressive, experienced a mood improvement, and really liked being part of something shared and creative. Felipe et al. Conducted a randomized controlled trial, so a high level of evidence there. They found that physical exercise in group settings significantly reduced both depression and anxiety scores, and that teens were more engaged with their treatment routines. And Versatano et al. Conducted a qualitative and observational study. They found that adolescents felt safer, more motivated, and more willing to express themselves when they were part of group therapy, especially art-based sessions. So across the board, structured group therapy sessions fill a gap that individual therapy leaves behind, especially in adolescent mental health. It creates a sense of community, it encourages peer support, and allows patients to express themselves in more creative, less confrontational ways. But no research is perfect. Some limitations we noted were sample sizes were generally small, so findings may not be generalizable. There wasn't much long-term follow-up, so we don't know how lasting the effects are. And finally, group therapy formats varied across studies, so it's hard to compare them side by side. Still, the overall trend is pretty clear, and now Anneka will explain what all this means for nursing and the care we provide.
Thanks, Liz. I'm Anneka, and I'll close this out by talking about what this means for us in practice, especially as future nurses. Looking at all the evidence together, we can confidently say that the structured group therapy offers real benefits for adolescents and inpatient psychiatric care. It's more important than just an activity. These sessions provide a safe, shared space for teens to be open, to feel connected, and to begin processing difficult emotions. When patients feel heard and understood, especially by their peers, it's built trust, which is sometimes often missing in traditional models of care. We saw over and over that these group-based interventions led to improvements in mood stability, self-expression, engagement in care, and adherence to treatment plans. The type of therapies varied, such as music, movement, art, but also the outcomes pointed in the same direction. These adolescents felt less alone, more motivated, and even excited to participate in therapy. That's a huge shift in an inpatient setting, where motivation is often low. From a nurse's lens, this tells us that we need to advocate for structured expressive therapy as part of standard inpatient psychiatric care. That might mean working alongside music or art therapists, or helping to facilitate pair-structured circles. It might also mean bringing forward evidence to our managers to show that investing in these programs actually improves outcomes and can reduce the length of stay. We also know that these changes won't happen overnight, but by being aware of the evidence and speaking up for what works, we can help create more human, more healing environments for our adolescent patients. Thank you so much for listening.
Bye!